We're here to empower high-income earners to gain back control of your time through financial independence and stop trading your time for money and start letting your money work harder for you.
And hey, if you want to meet other high-income earners on their FIRE journey, join our High Income Earners FIRE Facebook group. Every month, we'll have guest speakers and we'll share about what our team is currently working on and allow you to share what you are working on with other high-income earners.
Welcome back to High Income Earners FIRE podcast. I'm Cody Ye. Today, I'm with my co-host, Aline Prak, and we have Aditya here today. He's a bomb. He is an immigrant with over 100K debt to become financially independent at 30. Aditya was originally a software engineer turned a real estate agent in Canada, making over $1 million in commission. He has not only just built a dream life for his family, but is also helping people create freedom, especially financial freedom. It all started with one YouTube video, and today he has over 20,000 subscribers with over 1 million views in just last year in 2021. He and his company, Windsor real estate team, sold over $75 million of real estate so far. So I don't want to butcher anything else. This is going to be a blast of an episode. So welcome, Aditya.
Welcome.
Thank you for a warm welcome. I'm definitely excited to share the journey here.
That is an incredible background. So we're super excited to get into this and learn how you did it and give us your secrets.
Sure, definitely. I'll do my best to share everything I can.
Awesome. Can you share with us kind of like your story on how do you come to Canada, kind of like a recap until now?
Yeah, definitely. So I'm born and raised in India in a small village called Padkal. It's in South India. Pretty hot city. So my family background, farmers, very hardworking, worked their life just to meet and, just living, but still they were always in the debt. Came to Canada in 2012 for studies. My dad had to borrow every penny from, friends, family for 24% interest yearly. So it was a big risk. And I came here, did my education in Sarnia. And while studying and after education, I worked a lot of hard jobs, cleaning dishes, at different sort of jobs, you name it, everything, starting from cleaning the toilets to working in factory just to survive. But once education is over, and it took me 6-7 months to get into a professional job. So my education was in IT programming. So I got a IT software developer job in Windsor. So that was don't ask me why Windsor, because no clue. I was desperate for a job because, my debts are growing. I have to pay them. So I was willing to go anywhere. So that's how I landed here. So once in Windsor working and the work is going on. So basically while I was working, it was taking so long for me to pay off my debt, because that's when I realized my rents, my car payments, after all the things, I was left with $2,000 something. And it took me even having a full-time job took 2 years to pay off my study loan. And then I had my future debts coming, which is my family responsibility, my dad's responsibility to get my sister's wedding, which is coming year after. And that's when I'm scared, because that's another 100,000 that I needed.
Wow.
I'm what am I going to do? This job is not going to survive. It's not going to help me, because this is not enough. It's a great, from a North American standard point of view, 80,000 salary in Windsor was pretty good.
Yeah.
But for my family responsibilities, and also I have a lot of goals, dreams that I want to travel, and I want to travel to back home every year, 6 months. I want to stay there because that's my home country, where I feel I belong there. So in order to make all those things, I need to do something more than just a job. So that's when I started to try different things, eventually landed on real estate. Read this book, probably, you might heard from many guests, Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
I think a lot of people started with that book.
Yeah. So that completely changed, right? The mindset came out of that book, build assets, drop the liabilities as much as possible, build assets. And then he talks about rental properties. So then I Googled how to buy rental properties, how to invest in rental properties in Canada. And then this book come up because Canada doesn't have that many books. And the book came up is from States. by Brandon Turner, Investing in Rental Properties by Brandon Turner. And I read that whole book. He talks about bigger pockets in the book very often. And then like I look up, what's bigger pocket? So it started and I learned like I don't need much money apart from 5% down. This is like in 2016. So he talks about house hacking for 5% down, 3% down, even if I get some cash back, not even like zero down technically. So that was like very fascinating to me because, that house hacking concept attracted so much for me. Like, okay, I can buy like 2 or 3 or 4 units, live in one unit, rent out the other units, let the other units pay my bills. And that was like, okay, this sounds very reasonable because I don't need too much money and I didn't have money. All I need is like, down payment, which is like 5 to 10,000 at that point. In Windsor, there are a lot of 100 years old properties. A duplex that I got at that time was like 102,000. So 5,000 was the down payment. Pretty much like closing cost plus down payment is like around 8,000. So that's how I started. Bought a duplex, moved in one unit, lived for free. Actually, I got paid for living in one unit, $100 or so. Yeah. So from there, I started to buying, but eventually like got to a point where my 100,000 debt came in because that's my sister's wedding happened. And that cost was
good for you for covering for her. I guess that's part of your culture, right? To
culture,
cover
yes. Because it's my dad's. Yeah, it's my dad's responsibility. And my dad, like, he took such a big risk, he don't know whether I'm going to pay him back or not. And he cleared like his income is like less than $400 back home. Whereas he took like such a big 50,000 debt for my education. So it's a it's
You're
a
giving back.
Of my, exactly. So it's pretty common back home where, guy takes the responsibility of the family because I was so dependent on them until I got here, right? Like, so even after coming here for the first year, I didn't have income because there were no part-times in Sarnia. Even then he has to send more money. So it's my job. It's honestly, it's actually blessing that I have to do that because I had a chance to give back sooner. So long story short, like that debt came in, now another 100,000 debt. It took me 2 years to pay off my 2 years of working plus 2 years of education, total 4 years to pay off my student loan. And now this 100,000, how long it's going to take? That's when I started to think, oh my God, this is going to take forever. So that's when I said, okay, I have to figure out higher income because the investing is great, but it's only coming in like, $1,000, $1,500 is the cash flow because I'm not doing flips. I'm doing a buy and holds. So I was like, thinking of different ideas to increase my income. That's when sales came in. So got into sales 2019, February 1st. That's when I got my license. Even though I had like huge debt, 100,000, I said goodbye to the job. On the day I got my license, I gave my resignation. I went in all in because I'm like, I have to do it. So
let's stop there a little bit because you were making 80K, as a software engineer in Canada. I know like where Aline is, down in like Orange County and all that, you get paid a lot more. That's just the way it is. Either it's in USD, the conversion rate is 1 to 1 million to Canadian. That's a joke, but you guys get paid like equivalently or a lot more, and the conversion rate is a lot better as well. But in Canada, the same job get paid a lot less, but 80K is still very solid coming out of school, right? Yeah. So how do you give up that? Consider, it's not 6-figure, but a lot of people consider as high income, right? How do you just like got your license and you all in? Like, what were you thinking at that time?
The biggest thing is for me, I did my math. So I have this 100,000 debt and I want to continue to invest. With this 100,000 debt, I cannot continue to invest because I borrowed that money from my friends and line of credits. So the interest is, scooping up. So I did my math, like, how much am I saving right now? I was saving around like very frugally $2,000. So if I save $2,000,
$2,000 a month, $2,000 a month. Okay.
Yeah. So how long does it take for me to pay off this debt?
That's around 4 years, right?
Yeah, at least
4 or 5 years.
That being very frugal. Exactly. And that being very frugal and that being like, me not traveling anywhere, like that sounded to me is a huge burden because I have seen my parents, especially, my dad worked so hard throughout his life, like until now, but he never out of debt. He was always in debt because he was just working, those just breaking even life, or maybe, sometimes when there is a bigger expense, he's into debts. So I said, like, we've been continuing with this debt journey for years, and my family was apart for years and years because of the money. So now I got to do something. And I felt inside, like, because I was reading a lot of books. That's one thing, before I quit my job, I started reading books in 2016 and 2019. And I was networking, doing a lot of networking, meeting, other investors, other local, realtors. Yeah. And so those combination of like the pain
mindset. Yeah.
Pain and the confidence that I got from the other investors, because I was doing networking with pretty good people, like, who are young. Like my mentor, she's my realtor for all the properties that I purchased until then. And she was also a realtor. She became a realtor like at 2022. And she started to make like in first year, 100,000. I'm like, okay, so she was able to do it. And I have met a couple more people. They were like also doing 100,000 plus in the first year alone. So, and I did my math, like, I bought and sold these 4 properties from her, right? Like, so every transaction I tried to match up, okay, just one client was able to do 4 transactions, and her income, that's in like 1.5 years. Yeah. That's like, probably 30,000 plus income. So what if I can have just like 10 clients like that? So there are so many thoughts going on in my brain for like 6 months, because, quitting a job at that point was not easy. It was really, really tough. But only one like sentence that stuck with me is like, do I want to regret later or do it now? And I have seen my dad always regret for not doing things that he wanted to do. And I have seen that pain in his eyes, like, I wish I should have done this.
Right.
So I would give that credits to my dad. Because I have seen him go through that pain for not doing it. So I said, okay, I want to do it. If the worst case scenario, if it doesn't work out, I'll go back and, continue find another job. Also, like, because I was already investing, that helped a lot, because I was looking at different transactions, right? I was networking with people. Even one flip could give me like 50,000. So my salary was like 80,000. So that mindset really like helped me to take that step. I thank God, like, I made that move, or else I would have been where I was.
Wow. That's just impressive. And I can definitely feel you, because I went through a similar journey. After you quit the job, I know you're becoming a real estate agent. You have a goal. What are the main vehicles that was making you the high income? And then after you tell us that, we'll say, how do you leverage that to make more money? But what's that main vehicles after you quit your job? You say maybe flipping. Is that real estate agent? What is that?
So agent, being an agent is my main vehicle, because I didn't had a skill for flipping, because flipping is a pretty unique skill where you need to have a good eye for what kind of kitchen to design. And there are like different skill set. But for me, I realized like my skill is people skills. I love people. I love talking to people. I love sharing. I love connecting with new people. I enjoy that. So I felt sales is something that I can do well. So that's why I put my energy towards sales. Actually, the first year, the goal that you're mentioning, the first year, I put a goal for myself. I have seen, on YouTube, a couple of agents made 100,000 plus in their first year. So I told myself, my salary was 80,000. I want to double my salary my first year. 160. I even made a video before I got my license. This is like in December. I got my license in next year, January 31st. And
you manifested. And then, so did you crush it?
I doubled it. And the first year I cleared up all my debts. Wow. My whole family debt first year. My gross income was 320,000 something.
What do you think contributed to you being able to exceed that goal, and to meet your goal of doubling your income? Like, what was it that you did in your business?
Multiple things. First thing that I have done that not many people do is on the day one, I started writing my exams. Before I decided to get the license, I was reading a lot of books and researching how people make income in real estate. What are some of the important elements that I need to do in order to make that, because now I have a big responsibility to live. So one of the common thing that I came across again and again is, if I want to succeed as a realtor, I need to have a lot of leads, a lot of people who is interested to work with me.
Lots of lead gen.
So I need to create that pipeline. If I don't have pipeline, I cannot make any income in this business. I can make one sales here and there. But it's not going to be like, so I need to have that pipeline. In order to have that pipeline, I was like, I used to write a lot of notes like, oh, can I do this? I try this. What really stick to me was like, I love talking. So I love sharing. That's just my nature. So I came across some YouTube video by Jeff Weibo. He's a good friend of mine now. At that time, I saw his YouTube video. He was sharing, I started sharing my journey on YouTube. And because of that, I was able to make 100,000 plus in my first year as a new realtor. I'm like, the bulb went up. Okay, this is something I enjoy. I have a desire to become an actor someday. That has been there for years for me. So I'm like, okay, this is a good chance. Maybe not actor, but YouTuber. So I started sharing my journey on YouTube since like on the day I registered for my license, I shooted my first.
Wow.
That's so impressive.
Not the best, just on my phone, no audio device, nothing, just on the phone, very raw. And I posted just raw because I didn't even know how to edit. But long story short, I wanted to figure out my leads pipeline, and that pipeline is social media. And more specific for me, it was YouTube videos, sharing the experience, sharing my knowledge about Windsor, investing, all those things.
Yeah, this is so impressive. I mean, like Aditya and I were having a private chat the other day. We're talking about our struggles are very similar. In terms of the team and social media, having a consistent pipeline and all that. But can you bring us to like, once you make 320,000, thanks for sharing that. That's 24x your T4, which is your W2 full-time job. And then what do you do? Do you pay off your debt? And how do you grew to like what we call 44 doors, right? To this point, right? So what happened after that? Until you accumulate this 44 doors, you start using the money, you make money for you. So what happened there?
So basically investing is my strength. I realized like I definitely need to continue to invest. Number one, I'm not going to stop investing, but because in my first year anyways, I don't qualify for mortgages. So I started to do joint venture partnerships where I raised money from investors where I give, I bring the deal. I do all the, make sure I'll get the project done. Burr strategies with a project where investor gives the money for purchase and renovations. And I will make sure in 6 months or 1 year, he gets his money, but he got 50% partnership in the deal.
So kind of like the limit partner or your passive partner brings in the down payment, brings in the capital for renovation, and you're basically the active partner where you find the deals and then do all the heavy lifting, the sweat equity, and you give up 50% of the equity of property, right? The very typical 50-50 joint venture in Canada. Eileen, is that the same in US or I don't know? Like
there's a lot of different strategies on how to split it up. I've seen like 80-20s, 70-30s, 50-50s. So it depends on what you bring to the table and how the partners decide to structure the partnership.
Yeah, I agree with you because, in my first 3 deals, I actually I took 40% and I bring in the mortgage, the partner bring in the money and the renovation money. So I was leveraging my credit and I was bringing the deal. I was doing all the things and I still took 40% because this person, someone trusting me in early my career, like I didn't even know all the things that I'm doing. It's just, I was still early. But again, it depends on the deal as well, how big the deal, how much money is needed. And now I'm raising money on a 27 unit building right now.
Nice. Is it Windsor?
Yeah, it's in Windsor. Nice. It's in a prime location. So we have it on contract. Basically for this one, we are giving 70% profit share for the investor because it's a big project. And it's going to take longer to refinance and get the money, but there is like solid returns potential. So going back to your question, right? Like how did I continue that? So number one, yes, I paid off my debts in my first year, but along the way, because I was reading books, I didn't try to limit myself like, I have to do everything. That's what a lot of agents do where, they do everything. So in the first year alone, like by end of the year, like from the mid of the year, I didn't go hiring first because I was scared. First of all, I still had debt, right? But, my wife is my first resource. She's, like my backbone. She's like super solid support for me. Yeah, very supportive. Yeah. And she was doing editing. I told her not to take full-time job. She was like doing part-time basis. So she was working 20 to 30 hours at the work. And she was doing rest of the time, editing my videos, doing the offers. So back-end stuff, right? Like, so that's how like started. And then end of first year, I said, please, can you please quit your job? You got to do this full time. And then by mid of the second year, it started to go more. And I started to take agents because, the leads I couldn't handle. And many people are getting upset on me, not because they're working with me and they got bad experience. So far, people who got upset on me is because I couldn't get to them. I couldn't talk to them. I couldn't, got a chance to respond them.
Yeah.
Because of I'm a human being. I have a limited resource or limited hands to have a call with everyone. So, but I realized like that pain is growing. People are getting upset because, I couldn't talk to them. I couldn't give time. So that's when I started to think, okay, whom can I bring in? I read this book called Who Not How.
Who Not How by Dan Sullivan.
Yeah. So that book actually like gave me so deep like understanding. Okay, really that's true. Because if I start to do everything, I'm going to burn out. I'm not going to enjoy, the work, and I'll quit. So rather like now I started to take one at a time, for different roles. Second year, and I have seen the results. Like second year, my income was over $500,000.
So at that time, do you still only have your wife, or you have a team of 5 already?
I think at that time I had 2 agents, and I believe still my wife was the full-time admin.
Okay.
Third year is when I took operations manager. My friend's wife, I pursued her because she had a business experience in the past. She was like the assistant for a CEO in a big company. So she had that experience running the business like as an operations manager, but no clue about real estate. I was like, you don't have to know. All you need is you have the right skills. So I pursued her, and thank God she got in. Like it's been close to a year now. And now her role is to hire the people that we need, different things. So in the third year, when it's really started to, hire more people. So now I have we have 2 transaction coordinators, 1 admin who takes all the calls now. So now we are not missing any calls. We have all the calls going into the database, and we have, following up with them, and started to hire more agents because, I cannot talk to everyone. Even like my 2 agents start to get busy. So that's when we need more people, because that's the one blessing is this social media. That social media, I never stopped.
Yeah.
No matter how busy I became as a realtor, like I start to leverage on areas where I need help. Even now I'm, always constantly thinking, okay, what can I leverage so I can do the high productive tasks? Yeah. Which is, still like, struggle. There is, like I mentioned, like when we were talking, always there is like, a lot of, we fired a transaction coordinator just a month ago, and we have to hire a new one. And then same thing, right? Like initially to get to my first the best operation manager now, before that I hired and fired like a couple of them.
So then at what point during your time did you realize that you had reached your financial independence journey?
So this is like a year and a half ago, I believe. So by then, like I haven't stopped investing. That's one thing I was continuing to do. So I don't remember the exact date. I'm not so good with the dates, but everyone was asking like on YouTube, my comments, like, what's your cash flow? Like, what's your monthly cash flow? How much is your asset value? That's when like, until then I didn't do any asset value assessment, because I was busy with this runarounds every day with the business sales. Yeah. So that's when I sit down and I try to put an Excel sheet, look at all my numbers, how much cash flow am I making? And I'm like, I wrote down like when I started in 2016, before I got my first property, I wrote it down. I need $5,000 in order to be financially free. And I even made a video on this one, like running. I showed every property, like here's the exact cash flow I received from each property. And the number was over 5,000. I'm like, damn, it happened. It happened way quicker than I thought.
Yeah. And then the 5,000 was just through your real estate though, right? It was just your real estate.
Just my cash flow from the rental properties, not the sales income. Sales income is totally separate. Sales income I consider as active income, right? So the passive, I'm talking about the passive income from rental properties was over $5,000. I'm like, yeah, that's when I thought like, and also asset value was over 1.5 million. So I was surprised. I wanted it and I worked for it, but I didn't expect it to happen. And when I was super like, me and my wife was doing this math together, like, because she knows all the numbers on the back end, like, we were just crunching all the numbers. And when I saw that, like, literally, I couldn't control my tears because, becoming a millionaire at 30 is something that I wrote down when I started. I didn't know how I'm going to make it happen because, my whole family, we were always in debt. Now what that means, like, the freedom comes with it. I went to India in December for 2 months, traveled Maldives for a week.
Nice.
And Dubai for a week without even like thinking anything, because that freedom from the real estate investing and also, building the team, right? So Yeah. So
kind of bring it back to, I know you did it yourself. You have an active team of, real estate agents. Now, and you're also helping other passive investors to achieve that. So what are the typical profile, the passive investor you're attracting? Is it like, what are they doing? What their full-time job, what's their income range, right? Who are you attracting?
Yeah. So honestly, I'm not that smart to even come up with that ideal avatar. I never even thought about that avatar. So far, I only took 2 investors, just 2.
Just 2.
Just 2. And
wow.
One is my cousin's friend, who is my first investor. And I only continue to use him. And the second one was like, he called me to invest in Windsor. He as a client, but we were talking and we had a lot of, commonalities, and he was a high earner. He's making like over 200,000 a year. And he had already like 200,000-300,000 sitting aside, and he wanted to invest, but he don't want to be, active. And, I resonated with him quite a lot. Like we have, pretty good understanding, the relation was good. So I said, okay, I'll take you, because I was very picky with investors, because I was telling only good things. I didn't share the bad thing. Before I got my license, I actually lost not only the debts that from my sister wedding, I lost a project, almost $80,000, because I didn't partner with the people that I resonate, or I didn't do my proper due diligence. I just partnered with random people because I liked the project. So that was a big lesson learning. I was super sad. I wanted to quit real estate at that time.
Yeah. But you kept going.
Because, thanks to the network I was in, everyone was pushing, everyone told like, hey, it's not only just for you. Everyone went through that losses. Actually, those losses will make you stronger. So basically, I had to sell my first property to offset those debts. But basically, that mindset put me in a position where like, I don't want to take investors unless I really like them. I really have a good relation with them where I can see we can do multiple transactions. So I'm very picky. Even now, like for this 27 unit building, we received like 80 plus interest from investors. Now, after this call, I have calls with them. So I'm going to filter out, see whom I can resonate, where I can see, like, it's more like you're marrying, right?
Yeah.
Indirectly, girlfriend or boyfriend, indirectly, we are like in a business relation. And this relation will flourish only if you have a good understanding and the same goal, which is that financial freedom. So, yeah.
So ultimately, Aditya, what does financial independence FIRE look like for you personally? Like, what does that vision look like for you?
So, being in a position where I can literally, stop working whenever I want to. I don't want to feel work as a necessity. Anything that I'm doing, I want to feel that it's a choice rather than was imposed on me because of I have these bills to pay. That's called for me freedom. So if I don't have to work for next 2-3 months, just like last 2-3 months ago, I went to India just like that for 2 months. I want to be where I want to be without worrying about money. I want to do what I want to do without worrying about the money. That's 2 important pieces that combines all this like financial freedom to me.
Yeah, that's the ultimate. It's having the freedom of choice to be able to do whatever you want without having to worry about where your money's coming from, whatever, like that's going to happen because you have that choice to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's when, life will be more exciting every day, right? Like now, before when I was working full time, like every day I used to feel like at least the last 2 years, I was like, I gotta go to work. I gotta wake up. But now like I'm excited to wake up because, I can do some videos. I can, go for listing presentation or I can run a project. And if I don't feel like working, trust me, I just tell my assistant, okay, I'm not working for the next 2-3 hours. Maybe I'm watching a movie or going out with my wife somewhere, a movie or something. I do that very often. Like if I don't feel like working, I don't work. Mm-hmm. And that choice did not came easily because, that's the work I put in last 5 years and the team I built, and it's continuous work in progress, but definitely that's really, I think makes us feel we are alive and living the life.
Nice. I love it. So like, this is all really great information. I wish we had more time. So we're going to transition into our lightning round, our fire lightning round. Are you ready for this, Aditya?
Sure. Yeah. I love that.
So our first question is, have you become a billionaire with the B tomorrow? What will your day look like?
Oof, that's a tough one. Maybe no more active business, just traveling the world and spending like crazy, but not like on myself, giving off to people, whom I'm seeing, like, a small business who is struggling, maybe, giving some financial support, making content on that, continuously doing that around the world.
That's
So
fantastic.
kind of less active, more passive, and maybe start investing in startups, kind of help them out as a private
buy
equity.
multiple buildings, buy multiple free and clear buildings. That's for sure, because that is the key, cash will be coming no matter what. If I lose that billion, but I still have the buildings, that is going to give me regular income.
Well, that's perfect, because for the second question that we have is, if you had lost everything today, but you still had $500,000 in your bank, which is quite a lot, what would you do to start over, to build up yourself again?
Yeah, so definitely I would get into sales, because one thing sales doesn't need money. So that 500,000 probably I would use for myself to live expenses, and I'll go into sales business, do sales and build my income and invest back again into real estate and stocks.
I know a lot of people agree to this as well. I think you will as well. As if you know how to do sales or marketing, you can become a business owner, right? Yeah. And you don't need money to do that. But in order to become that, you need a lot of practice, a lot of coaching, a lot of role play, and a lot of like struggles.
And also have a vision, right? Like, if you want to become a businessman, you will. But if you are like, nope, I'm happy with what I am, then you'll stay where you are.
Yeah. And that kind of comes into our third question is, today I have you, we interview you, but if you're a podcast host yourself, who would you want to interview?
Grant Cardone.
Why Grant Cardone?
Oh man, I've been following him from my day one, right? Like his energy and, at the age that he's in, the life that, he lives, he has like big $1 billion business going around, but he still spend time with his kids and very healthy, travel the world while doing all these things. So he's the guy that comes to my mind immediately.
Nice.
And what are some of the other ways? I know you mentioned that, if you were to lose everything, you'd want to give back and help other smaller businesses. What are some of the other ways that you like to give back? Sharing
something very transparently, because, a lot of people, personally, myself, right? Like I didn't know that the opportunities exist before I got into real estate, until I got to that book. And I got to that book because one kid on a stage in an Amway networking event, he stood up and he said, this book changed my life. So because he shared that, I caught to that book, my life changed. So sharing makes a huge impact. And I heard having just this small YouTube channel with 20,000 people, I had like at least 200 times plus times I heard from people, hey, just because of you, I was able to do a house hack, or because of you, because, many people go into this bigger homes and just live off of like a rat race, because now they have every month this $5,000, $6,000 in expenses coming like a cycle. Whereas now I learned about this new concept from you, and I was able to, now I don't have to think about my expense. If I lose a job, I'll go find even just a cleaning job. I'm still able to pay off because I have that freedom. So
I love it. I mean, we all get back on our own way, and not everyone's comfortable speaking in public or getting on podcasts or YouTube. And it's a grind. Trust me, it's a grind, because I have a YouTube channel as well. Yeah. And I think this could be the most powerful way, because YouTube is free. If anyone who has to drive and wants to learn, they can literally type up and search it and learn things for free. Right. Yeah. So I think this is one of the best way to give back, other than giving out money directly. Right. You can help a lot of hungry people this way. Yeah. And so this has been a blast. I wish I had more time. So if any of our listeners want to learn more about you, where can they find you?
Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube. My full name, Aditya Kumar Soma.
Do you want to spell it out for us?
Or I can give you the links.
Yeah, and we can also put it in the show notes too. It's Aditya, Aditya. Or go on YouTube, search Windsor, Ontario.
most likely in the first 10 videos, you will see 1 or 2 of mine.
I love it. Aditya is definitely a beast in the Windsor area. It's right across the border from Detroit and Canada. As he's killing it with a team. So if you guys want to reach out to him, want to invest in Windsor, still up and coming, lots of opportunity there. So, on behalf of High Income Earners Fire Podcast, Aline and I really thank you for being up here. I know you have a busy schedule. I know you're busy living the fire life and continue to build it. Is there any last word of wisdom you want to give it to our audience? Any one word, one sentence you want to tell us?
Yeah, just me, someone like, coming with a farmer's background, no money background, no support, nothing, no education as well. If I can do it, you can do it. Just, you got to put your mind and heart into it.
Love that. Thank you so much, Aditya. That was amazing.
Glad to hear.
Awesome. Thanks for coming on. We're going to have you on.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a lot of fun.
I know we're going to have a chat maybe in, a year or two. And at that time, who knows what you're doing, but we're going to have you back on later on for sure.
Definitely. Thank you so much.
All the links mentioned in this episode are included in the show notes. And if you love this episode, please leave us a rating and review on Apple iTunes. The link is also included in the show notes. And we would really appreciate your help in spreading the word to more high income earners on how they too can maximize both their time and money.
Also, if you still haven't joined our High Income Earners Facebook group, you are missing out on High Income Earners community where we help each other reach our own version of fire.